No quarterback in football is under more pressure this season than Lamar Jackson. Not Mahomes, not Burrow, not Allen, Lamar. But why? Why is his situation different? What makes his pressure heavier than anyone else's? And how does pressure really shape an athlete? Does it make you sharper or slower? That's the story of Lamar Jackson's season. He already has 2 MVPs, and he's shown he can dominate the regular season. But in the playoffs, 3 wins, that's it. The Ravens gave him the contract, they gave him the weapons, they gave him the keys to the franchise. Now, the excuses are gone. Because when you got the record he does, the talent, the highlights, the trophies, the only thing left to prove is simple. Can you win when it matters the most? When Lamar first came into the league, the story was simple. He was electric, but the Ravens hadn't built the right offense around him. No real number 1 receiver, a system that leaned too much on his legs. Playoff losses where it felt like he was carrying the team by himself. But those days are over. The Ravens paid him a $260 million contract. The kind of deal that says you're the guy. They loaded the roster. Zay Flowers broke out as a star. Mark Andrews is still one of the best tight ends in football. And Derrick Henry, he's in the backfield now, forcing defenses to respect the run and giving Lamar lanes he's never had before. Which is exactly why the pressure is sky high. Because when you have the contract, the teammates, and the trophies, there's only one box left to check: winning a Super Bowl. Here's where Lamar's story gets heavy. Almost every quarterback with 2 MVPs also won in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, by his 2nd MVP, he had a Super Bowl ring. Patrick Mahomes, he has as many MVPs as Lamar and 15 playoff wins. Brett Favre, by the time he stacked MVPs in the 90s, he had already carried Green Bay to a Lombardi trophy. Lamar's record doesn't match theirs, at least not yet. And that's why the pressure is different. It's not just about this season. It's about what history says a quarterback with Lamar's record should have already done. We've seen the spotlight before. In the early 90s, when Steve Young replaced Joe Montana in San Francisco, he was under the same kind of pressure. He was putting up stats, but until he won a Super Bowl, people say he couldn't carry the 49ers like Montana did. And it's not only quarterbacks who felt this kind of weight. The last time I remember an athlete starting a season with this much pressure was LeBron James in 2011. He had just joined Wade and Bosh in Miami. Everyone expected a dynasty. And after collapsing in the finals against Dallas, LeBron walked into the next year with more pressure than any athlete alive. And here's the thing. Pressure isn't just a storyline, it's science. That same stress that makes one athlete crumble can lock another one in. It spikes your adrenaline, sharpens your senses, or clogs your brain with doubt. For LeBron, that pressure sharpened him. It turned into focus, and the next season he was unstoppable, a champion at last. That's the question for Lamar Jackson. Does this pressure crush him or push him to a level where he simply won't be denied? So here's the question. What happens if Lamar delivers this year? If he leads Baltimore to a deep playoff run, if it gets him to a Super Bowl, everything changes. The criticism disappears, the regular season quarterback label gets buried, and suddenly, he's in the conversation as one of the greatest quarterbacks the game has ever seen, with the championship to prove it. But what if he doesn't? What if the Ravens fall short again in January? If Lamar adds another MVP season without the playoff wins to match? then the label sticks. He risks becoming the biggest regular season star in NFL history. And history hasn't been kind to players in that spot. Luckily for Lamar, one Hall of Fame quarterback knows this pressure pretty well, Peyton Manning. For years, Peyton wore that same label. MVP was stacked up, playoff heartbreaks piled up, until 2006 when he finally broke through. Steve Young broke through, Peyton Manning broke through, and so did LeBron James. But if Lamar doesn't, he could end up more Marino than Manning. That's the weight of this season. This isn't just another year in Baltimore. This is Lamar Jackson's defining year. No quarterback in football has more on the line.